Welcome to the Lincoln Parish Museum and Historical Society's Sounds Like Edison with Lawrence Gibbs and Museum Director Rick Godley. Each episode, Lawrence Gibbs will choose a song from the Lincoln Parish Museum's Edison collection of records, share some historical facts and information, as well as play each record on the original 1912 Edison Phonograph in the parlor of the Lincoln Parish Museum. Now sit back and enjoy the sounds from our time machine, a 1912 Edison A-250 Model Phonograph. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Sounds Like Edison from the parlor of the Lincoln Parish Museum and Historical Society, 609 North Vienna Street in Ruston. I am Rick Godley, alongside, I want to say, the host.
Oh, well, if you wish.
Lawrence Gibbs, the historian. As each show, we feature a record and play it on the authentic, original Edison A-250 phonograph from the parlor of the Lincoln Parish Museum. Lawrence, is going to be episode number 10. Man, they're flying by.
Very quickly, yes.
Very quickly.
Keep on.
Before we get into the details, I want to do a promotion of some swag. This is the 150th anniversary of the founding of Lincoln Parish, the sesquicentennial. Can you say that 5 times fast?
No.
Okay. Can you say it 1 time slow?
No.
Okay. The sesquicentennial, and we have made up these coins. These are sesquicentennial coins, Lincoln Parish, and they're really nice, celebrating 150 years, remembering the past, looking to the future. They are only $20, with proceeds are going to the Sesquicentennial Committee to do more events down the road because we have a lot left in the year, and also a t-shirt of the Sesquicentennial celebrating 150 years. This is $25, and again, with proceeds going to future events for the Sesquicentennial here at the Lincoln Parish Museum and other things that we'll have planned. And what I recommend, there's 2 Facebook pages. One, if you would be so kind to friend, but more importantly, follow our Facebook page for the Lincoln Parish Museum, and then another Facebook page simply called Lincoln 150. Lincoln 150. Well, the Chautauqua series are cranking up. Wesley Harris is delivering one. Phyllis Miller is coming back. We are open to your ideas on how to create a second renaissance and a relevancy for not only this historic home, but the gardens in the back, which need some TLC, which could be tender loving care or
Yes.
tender Lincoln care.
I love it.
Either way,
that works.
We will take it. All right, so the YouTube page which you're watching this on, thank you if you would subscribe. Also, be like Billy Green, right? I think he's our biggest advocate and fan.
Bring him on.
And share the message, because once again, there are 160 records in here.
Yes.
Somewhere in there, and Lawrence is choosing 1 or 2, and we're going to be in still. It's the Charleston era,
Right. Thinking forward here, or actually thinking back, I guess, looking at the number of dance discs that are here, this place was hopping 100 years ago. The story about the bags under the lights,
the chandeliers,
to keep
the crystals from falling.
That has to be real, because we've got so many to pick from. I really do have to work a little bit to find exactly what I think is the right one for the right time. So anyway.
Well, we started the last 2 episodes, and this is episode 10. The featured is going to be Cecilia, and going to stay in the upbeat tempo. So tell us a little bit about it.
Yes. This is a 1925 disc in Edison's catalog. For those that like the details, it is Edison 51603-R. That means the right side of the disc. And it was recorded in July the 27th of 1925. The matrix is 10522. This is take number 3, take C. The time on the disc is 3 minutes and 38 seconds, which is a little bit longer than the standard 78 of the time that Victor was putting out. But Cecilia is a great pop song written about a year before, that, around January of 25, or maybe a little before, in 1924, by Dave Dreyer. Dave Dreyer lived from 1894 to 1967, so he had quite a long life. The lyricist is Herman Ruby, which is short for Rubinstein, obviously a Russian immigrant. And he lived from 1892 to 1959. So these guys really got to see some of our modern times with recording technology a lot more than what they had to deal with during the era that we're listening to. But David Dreyer also wrote many, many songs. Me and My Shadow was a famous song of his. And Back in Your Own Backyard was also one of his songs. But this particular recording today is one of those with the Billy Wynn Greenwich Village Orchestra, and that's hard enough to say, which was one of the 4 or 5 major acts or groups that recorded for Edison during this time period. Now these people also would go through, and they had maybe recorded with Victor or the Columbia label people also, but they really, when Edison got strong, they preferred the way they sounded on his discs. They were clearly superior in their minds. And so a lot of the best did go to the Edison studios. And so we have this coming around 1925, and during the very center almost of the Charleston era, when the dance craze was at the summer of 25 was about one of the places where it was really hot. This is a vocal number. The vocalist is Vernon Dalhart. A great story on him. He was also one of Edison's most popular vocalists, tenor soloists. He recorded over 400 sides during his time, from the 1919s or so all the way to 29, about a 10-year period of time. Now, the story on Vernon is he was he actually grew up in Jefferson, Texas, which is, he's very soundly Southern, as he would say. And so early on, he was self-taught. Early on, they discovered his voice. He made recordings on any label that would put him on wax, as you would say. So he really didn't get into Edison until 1923, when he answered an ad in a local Dallas newspaper, and I'll get to how he got to Dallas, and went and auditioned for Edison and stayed in New York for the rest of his time, active time. Anyway, Vernon was originally from Jefferson, Texas. And then when he was 12 or 13, somewhere around 1895, his family moved to Dallas. He became educated in the Dallas schools, and then he also developed a love for opera because of the great recordings, opera recordings that were coming out by Caruso and all those other people of the times. He felt like he had a voice that did not have to stay in Jefferson, Texas, or in Dallas for that matter. So he enrolls and spent many years perfecting his craft, and also becoming a great pianist and a great songwriter and a great vocalist. A vocalist that could change styles in any genre that he needed to perform in. He was first known as a hillbilly singer. His first hit was The Wreck of the Old 97, which was an old pioneer early in the train days, about a mail train that derailed, and it was a very sad song, but it was a very well-known song, Americana at its best. So he gets on Victor. He records that around 1923 or 4, about the time he was deciding to go to Edison. On the back of that record was the Prisoner song. And that ended up being a huge hit. That one disc was what started this man's career. And because he was able to get residuals and whatever, some payment for all of that, and became a name, his disc went all over the country with the wreck of the old 97. Now, upon moving to Dallas and finishing his career his education at the Dallas Conservatory of Music, he did attain opera roles. He did a production of Madame Butterfly, and he was involved in the operettas of the time. HMS Pinafore was one that he was famous in. And so actually at that point, he knew he needed to go to New York to really be in the place where, if he wanted to be an opera or wanted to be in a serious recording artist, that's where it had to be. And things worked out. Edison saw him, approved of his voice. He recorded over 400 songs with Edison, and really beautiful. And then after Edison stopped in '29, he went back to Victor and anybody else, hundreds of labels, and recorded over 4,000 more songs. Wow. He passed in 1948, I think, just of being worn out. But it was really, his last session was in 1942, actually, and he did vocal coaching toward the end of his life. This song, though, was written by David Dreyer, and David Dreyer was, like I said before, worked with Irving Berlin's company. He was also a pianist for Al Jolson and Eddie Cantor. This is 100 years ago when these people were major. Oh, that's good.
Sound effects are real.
Sound effects are real.
If they're not hearing it, we should tell them there's thunder outside. But
yes, thunder.
We don't worry about losing power because this is not electric.
Yeah. So anyway, the song that we're doing, Cecilia, is just a typical pop song. It's Does Your Mother Know You're Out, Cecilia? And it's got a very cute lyric. It's Does your mother know you're out, Cecilia? Does she know that I'm about to steal you? Oh my, when I look at your eyes, something tells me that you and I should get together. How about a little kiss, Cecilia? Just a kiss that you'll never miss, Cecilia. Why do we two keep on wasting time? Oh, Cecilia, say that you'll be mine. Simple song. That is the entire lyric right there. It's not 15 verses. It is. He sings it twice in the song. So things that you need to listen for. Of course, the Billy Wynn Orchestra of Greenwich, the Greenwich Village Orchestra was kind of the bed of the hottest players, the jazz-oriented players in New York. Red Nichols was the center of that, and he had a whole nucleus of people that played for him. When he got a recording session together, it was all his thing. You'll hear him on trumpet. He usually takes the lead right off, and this is in true Dixieland fashion. That was just becoming the rage at this time. There is a lot of what we call musical conversation or patter between the trumpet and the saxophone, and then the brass section and the woodwind sections. You'll hear that. They also make use of the stop time that is famous in the Charleston rhythm. And then at the end, they put a full ensemble together. The vocal is done twice, intermittently in there, and that is the singing of Vernon Dalhart in his New York voice, he says. So I think that will be fun. Let's go listen to this.
Let's listen to it. Smack dab in the middle of the roaring 20s. It is Cecilia, written by Dave Dreyer. Lyrics, Herman Ruby, Vernon Dalhart. From the parlor of the Lincoln Parish Museum and Historical Society, this is episode number 10 of Sounds Like Edison.
I'm about Cecilia. Oh my, when I look in your eyes, something tells me you and I should get together. How about a little kiss, Cecilia? Just a kiss you'll never miss, Cecilia. Why do we keep on wasting time? Oh, Cecilia, say that you'll be mine.
Wow.
That's it. Quick ending.
Cecilia, as performed by Vernon Dahlhart here, sounds like Edison, Rick Godley alongside with Lawrence Gibbs. Reminds me, you think this had any inspiration there, Lawrence, of Simon and Garfunkel and their Cecilia?
No.
No. But, and I'm also wondering, lyricist Herman Ruby, I just want to know about the mother. What about the father? Does your father know you're out, Cecilia?
Right. It makes you wonder.
Well, one question before we wrap up episode number 10 here. You said that this was the right side, not that there are left sides. What is the right side of the disc? Do you know?
Yes. Well, at least from what I've seen, when Edison was coming up with a system of how he wanted to, normally we have side A and side B, everybody else. He was afraid to use the same thing that anybody else had because of all the copyrights and stuff that he had to deal with. So he numbered his right and left. The discs are supposed to be stored vertically, not horizontally. And so he says when he would pull one out, that would be the right side of the disc. And so that's all he did. And I believe it was just so he could have one more thing to make his disc different than everybody else's. And so being the inventor that he was and involved in the copyrights and all of that stuff of different inventions and stuff, he was focused on any aspect like that, I think.
You know, I know we've talked about this in the past, but the clarity that's coming out of this machine, the time machine as we call it, from 1912, speaks to the quality of the needle and even the invention itself.
Yes, and he was totally believed that was exactly what he wanted. He felt like the acoustic process to him was still more pure and natural than any of the electronic stuff. Yes, they developed an equal sound, let's say, but he was first. He developed the clear sound before all the other companies found it. and it was a different process. He did it a totally different way than anybody else recorded. And I was just amazed when you listen to it, how clear you hear every one of those instruments. If you know how to listen to them, you can pick them out. And the fact that they gather these musicians up in a room probably about the size of this, and each one of them was playing into a horn, acoustic horn. There were no microphones used.
Right, right.
And so the fact that it came off that perfect, and you have to be, they must have had to practice a lot, because you go into a studio nowadays and you're in there for hours.
Well, and just by way of reminding myself and everybody else who's watching this was the third take. You can't go in and edit and post-edit. You got to get it right and then get it done and then get out of there.
And so I'm sure with all of the instruments, anytime you get a group like that together, all it takes is some blat from or a wrong note from any one of those instruments. And the fact that shows you what quality musicians they were and how well trained they were, just to have decide that the third take is better than the others. The others probably would have been fine, but they listened to them, but all it would have taken, is just one little blip, and that Edison would have like, no. So now this next disc is going to be a bit different.
Well, we'll get to that on the next episode of Sounds Like Edison from the parlor of the Lincoln Parish Museum and Historical Society. If you would be so kind, if you like what you see, follow us. We have the channel, the YouTube channel, and then please share this with others and give us your feedback. Make mention in the comments below and send any ideas. Maybe we have a song that you'd like to hear.
That would be
at
great.
Sometime in the future.
If people know of Edison's music and they have a particular one, we can at least check and see if it's in our catalog.
Well, Lawrence has taken the time to catalog and clean all of the records that were found upstairs. So we're looking forward to hearing the next one, as the Charleston Show series will continue next time we get together in what we call here Sounds Like Edison.
Yes.
Thank you for watching the Lincoln Parish Museum and Historical Society's Sounds Like Edison with Lawrence Gibbs and Museum Director Rick Godley. Keep in mind, we're a non-profit organization and we welcome your ideas, suggestions, as well as financial support to sustain our efforts to create a remarkable future as we embark on our second renaissance. Our address is 609 North Vienna Street, Ruston, Louisiana, 71270. Kindly follow us on Facebook to keep connected for future events, exhibits, and educational opportunities about Lincoln Parish. Sounds Like Edison is a Godly Works production.